We are going to have Luis Murillo join us, and I'm going to give you some information about who he is. Luis Murillo is an assistant superintendent at Alamosa School District. Alamosa, where are we at? Where are we at? Yeah, that's right. Alamosa is a small agricultural community serving a large population of Latinx families who have immigrated from Mexico and Guatemala. Luis is a perfect fit to serve this community because he knows what the students and families are experiencing. He was born and raised in Guadalajara, Mexico, until the age of 12. At that time, he came with his family when they immigrated to the United States, settling in Oxnard, California. From a young age, he watched his dad work several jobs in order to provide for his family, and he offered to help his dad in the strawberry fields in order to help support. But his dad told him no. That his job was to get an education so that he never had to resort to hard laborer's work like he did. Luis graduated from Channel Islands High School in Oxnard, California, with the opportunity to play football at several Division I universities. Being that Luis was going to be a first-generation college student and not having support from or guidance counselor, Luis passed up those opportunities. He was unaware of what he had just passed up. Instead, Luis played football at Ventura Junior College near his hometown. After 2 years there, he decided to follow his older brother to Alamosa, where he attended Adams State University and finished his football career playing for the Grizzlies. Luis double majored, earning a bachelor's degree in both Spanish and psychology, and went on to pursue his degree in school counseling. Luis knows what I'm talking about with this projective test for sure. Luis earned his master's in counselor education in 2008 and began his career as a school counselor and Spanish teacher at Ortega Middle School in Alamosa. After serving the students of OMS for 7 years, he applied and was hired as principal of Skoglund Middle School. Luis recently completed his seventh year as principal and has truly made a difference in the lives of his students. His work and beliefs in equity and access for all have been key driver to his successes. He believes that every child, regardless of race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, etc., deserves the best education as possible and the opportunity to follow their dreams, which I'm sure everyone in this room agrees with. At the state level, Luis is a delegate of Colorado LS and has spearheaded a Southwest conference in order to seek to connect Latinx leaders across the state, which is amazing. And nationally, Luis is a member of ALAS and a most recent graduate of SLA Cohort 9. Luis has planted his root in St. Louis Valley and has truly shown his love for his school and community. Luis has also completed year 1 of a doctoral degree. Yes, Luis, through the American College of Education, and Luis aspires to become a superintendent in the very near future. He knows that he wants to position himself to be the best candidate. He has the passion and grit to be a champion for all kids. Without further ado, let's all give Luis a really, really warm welcome, please. And Luis, the floor is all yours.
Morning, thank you. I didn't expect that whole long introduction, Sandra. I will jump right into my presentation since we have 25 minutes. So I'm going to share my screen and I hope I remember. Okay, share sound, it's all there. Okay. All right, would you give me a thumbs up if you can see it? All right, awesome. I've been asked, well, thank you for having me. On a Friday morning, it's cold, I know. I have the pleasure of serving as assistant superintendent here in the Alamosa School District. Prior to being here, I did serve in center for 7 years. Today, I'm going to be talking about two strategies. I was a practitioner when I was in center that were pretty successful when I was there, that are still continuing on, and that I am actively working to bring to the Alamosa School District. A little bit about me, like Sandra said, I'm just a lucky guy. I am the product of great education, having great parents, great teachers, great coaches, people that believed in me. And now I'm here serving as assistant superintendent in Alamosa School District. All right, I got sound. I came to the United States when I was 12 years old. And the reason why I do work with families and partnering with families is because of my mother. When we came over, My mother only has a sixth grade education, but she always knew that school mattered. When we came over, we went from a system of 10 equals 8, 9 equals B, 7 equals a C, and so on. So even though she didn't quite understand the whole system, she always knew that education was important to me. She was a volunteer at schools, later became a school cook, and she was always on me to do good in school. And because of that, I believe that partnering with communities and parents is important for our kids now. So some pictures of me. I see a lot of familiar faces, I'm tall, I'm 6'9". I've always been tall. This is a picture of me in 7th grade. This is a perfect attendance award because my mom always knew that education was important, and I made it to school every day. I thought this would be fun to show. This was me as a little kid. All right, so now why we're here. When I was in center, I quickly realized that there seemed to be a disconnect between the Latino community and the school. So now if we read about, literature, there seems to be somewhat of a disconnect with reaching our kids from poverty or families from poverty, our families to speak a language other than English. And we have the same case in center. So I decided to try to do something about it. And we started something that has grown into, I believe it's on year 7, and we called it PICS, which stands for Parents Involved for Center Students. I see some people that are joining us from out of the valley. A little bit about Center, Colorado. You can see our demographics. It's an impoverished town that serves a large population of Latinx students, mostly from northern Mexico and from Guatemala. About my school, about 140, 150 kids, high percentage of free and reduced, high percentage of English language learners. So all these things to some might seem as obstacles. I saw it as an opportunity to exploit their talents, their second language, their culture, and then a chance to reach to the families, because I knew that if we could be united, we could do something special. Center, we had pretty solidified core beliefs, and it was because of the core beliefs, especially this last one, that everyone must be committed to excellence in all they do every day, that we truly believed that we can make a change, that we can make a difference, that if we partner with families, we can drive academics forward, as well as some of the social emotional issues that we were seeing. So because of those core beliefs in Center, and I've shared some of those statistics, we truly did everything we could, and they still do now. I'm just talking in the past because I'm in Alamosa now, and I don't get a chance to be in that system now. But we did everything we could to partner with families so that the kids could have the best educational experience possible, so that they can reach the highest potential and become whatever it is that they wanted to become. All right, so talking about PICS, or Padres Unidos. So really what it was, we've all heard of PTOs. We all have parents' conferences. We all have that one night per year where we bring them in for a math night or a literacy night or for whatever it is. What I envisioned back then, it was more than that. It was truly a partnership to not only educate but empower parents so that they could be a voice in committees and be part of the change, so that they could be a part of the accountability committees that every school district has. And it's grown to be a lot larger than that. And I'm happy to say that they are doing a much better job, this year, and they continue to grow. We got a mission statement, and I'm going to read it quickly because this is really what grounded the work. Center School District Parent Involvement mission is to empower parents and families to support their children's academic and social emotional development from the cradle through high school, graduation, to college, and or the workforce. We will accomplish this by strengthening district, school, family, and community partnerships through parental support and education to ensure that all students become productive and responsible citizens. Center School District staff, family members, and community will work together to increase and strengthen family and school partnerships. I'm sure we've all seen this quote. I'll let you guys read it. But again, what I truly wanted to do was just empower parents so that they could be the change that they wanted to be for their kids and for the community. Okay, our initiative, why? Because it was needed. Again, we all know, and I'm sure we've all at some point felt the sentiment that, well, parents don't care, parents don't know. And when I say parents, these are the hard to reach parents or the parents of our kids who might be failing multiple classes, which are our neediest kids. And that's, I mean, we need to focus on all kids, but we really need to put a lot of our resources to make sure that all kids, when we're talking about equity, have a chance to be successful in education. And how and when, I'm going to talk about that because that's when we needed to get creative. Okay, we started our model. We started with the hook. We made it important and meaningful to them. We made it personal, and I'm going to talk about the hook. We made it fun. I needed to get a reaction. And then I also created a sense of urgency and a little bit of panic. And something that I did that this is not recommended, and what I read it, what I have read, is we didn't provide food. I didn't want parents to be there for the dinner, for the food. And I know that sometimes it's easier to get them there if you provide dinner. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but what I sold to them is I want you to be here because this matters so much to you and your kid, that you're here because of what we're growing together, because of the information, and not solely because of the food or because of the prices. As far as the hook, what I did is I put paper around a room, and then I would have all of us talk about our kids. So people will get up there and, you would write your kid's name, and then I would go around and I would say, okay, tell me about little Johnny. And of course, any parent is very proud about our kids. So then they would share about their kids. And then I would go around with a red marker and I would cross out a name. Well, actually, I would cross out 4. And then I would say, currently, statistics say that 40% of Latino students drop out of high school. So right there and then, I got a reaction. A lot of them got mad, a lot of them got sad. And then that's how I try to hook them, because I said, we can change this here in center if we come together and continue to get educated together so that your kid is not another statistic. Again, that's how I created a sense of urgency and a little bit of panic. Okay, so what does it look like? I'm gonna play a short clip of a video to show you an example. We made it fun. In center, we got training on Kagan strategies. So I really tried to model so that they also felt what their students could potentially feel in the classroom. So I'm going to press play and let it play for about a minute or so.
Que salga el sol, oh, que salga el sol, oh. Se siente el ambiente, caliente, caliente. Se siente mi gente. Sol y arena, sol y arena. Seguir la cosa buena, sol y arena. Pa' bailar con mi morena, sol y arena. A seguir la cosa buena, sol.
All right. So what did we do? We hosted an academy, and we first, well, one of the mistakes I made, and I'll say it real quickly, in the beginning, I thought I knew what they needed to learn. And I thought that I needed to share with them NWA and CMAS data and all the boring stuff. And then it quickly became evident that that's not what they wanted to learn about. They wanted to know about, bullying, sex education, iPads. So we would come together and we would plan out our academies. And as you saw in that video, they also wanted to learn about, again, iPads, technology, And in the beginning, they were very scared. And I said, you can't break it, play with it, do this, do that. We also did a book study. We read the 7 Habits of a Highly Effective Teen. I believe that's the actual title. And this was led by me, also led by parent leaders. And now it's all led by parents now that I'm not there. So I'll continue to move on. Oops. Okay. So then another dream that came out of that became an actual practice. When I started engaging with parents, I would ask, what's your dream for your kid? And of course, the majority of them would say, I want them to go to college. I don't want them to work in the potato fields like I'm having to do. And then my follow-up question would be, have you ever been to college? Have you stepped on a college campus? And some of them said no, and some of them said, yes, I've been to Adams State University. And I said, can you imagine a college campus that has 30,000 students? And they couldn't really begin to imagine that. So we would fundraise throughout the school year. And we also, if you know Katrina Ruggles, she's phenomenal in getting grants, and just everything she does is excellent. So she would also support our efforts. So we started visiting colleges, because when a first generation student goes to college, it really is a whole family going to college and having that support system. But in a town like Center, it could also be the whole community. So I really wanted them to experience that, and not when they were seniors or juniors, but as you will see in the pictures, when they were little. All right, so I'll skip through this. We all know the statistics, the why. I just kind of talked about that, and we'll get to some of the pictures. The first college visit we did, we went to CU. And the reason why we chose CU is because we had one of our graduates from Center, Ofelia Gonzalez Quetita. She was about to graduate from CU Boulder. And this is a girl who overcame many obstacles, and she was a model for us. So what I would do, as you can see, we created our own shirts. We had an identity. It was awesome because they would make burritos for the morning. We would load up in a bus. And then the picture on the right is one of my colleagues. She is a principal, and she's also from Mexico, first generation, and she was sharing her story. But this is Ofelia, and we were lucky to be there and watch her graduate. And we also got invited to, I don't remember the name of the club, but it was one of the Latinx clubs, and we got invited to their little celebration. And that was very meaningful for us because it really made it real. And as you could see, we have a baby in a stroller. We wanted kids to experience that so that they could see themselves at CU. We also had very real conversations about race. I mean, CU, I believe back then they had like 3-4% of their student population being Latinx. So we also had a panel of students attending. This is with Ofelia and her classmates. They talked to us about how real it could be when you are such a minority at CU. Our second visit was to UNM. And we went to UNM because it's close to Center, and our group grew. As you can see, one thing that we were very adamant about is we wanted to bring the whole family. It's hard for Latino families to leave their kid with someone else. So you see the strollers, and we brought the babies. And yeah, it could get difficult because of laws and buses. So we got around by paying for gas, paying for mileage, and really encouraging families to drive their family vans. And anyway, we just made it happen. We got organized. And I'm talking kind of fast. I'm realizing that because I have 9 minutes left. But something else that we really wanted to do is we wanted them to experience things that they might not experience in Center. So some of the things we did is, and some of the parents did not like me because of this, but I would take them out of their comfort zone and we would try different foods. And as silly as that sounds, my pitch was, if we're going to be asking your student to step out of his or her comfort zone to go to college and be the first one, you can step out of your comfort zone and try different types of cuisine. So we would dress up and we would talk about, etiquette and how do you all the different forks and the spoons and all that stuff. So we would have an experience. The other thing that we did is we would take advantage of our trip and we would visit museums, and there were families, there were kids that never been, and if you work in education, all this sort of stuff is free to get in. You just got to send a nice email and they'll let you in. And so anyway, it was a really good experience for grandparents, for parents, for kids to be able to be there. All right. Then we went to the University of Northern Colorado. And our group grew. And you see more families, you see more fathers, which if you've been in the field for a few years, you will probably know that when it comes to school matters, women, the mothers are usually there. So we really wanted to push to get the whole family to join us. So this is a picture of our trip to Greeley, Colorado. We also did a tour of the downtown area, and we took in all the murals. This is we made a stop in Denver at the Museum of Science. I don't remember what type of cuisine this was, but it was different. I have to be honest, I did not like it either, but we had an experience. And then our last one was going to be to CSU, and then the pandemic happened and we were unable to attend. I believe that this year they're actually dreaming big, and they're planning on visiting Grand Canyon University in Phoenix, Arizona. So I am confident that the group will continue to grow and do an even better job. Okay, so that was PICS, that was our Parent Academy, that was our college visit. The second thing that I want to share with you all, and I'm looking at my time, I have about 6 minutes, is it's a home visits program that I felt went hand in hand with reaching out to parents. And I am going to start with a video, because if we run out of time, the video will tell it all.
Kids are more comfortable at their home, and that's what we try to do, is walk in and say, just let us be a part of your life for 20 minutes and find out about you.
I know it's best practice, and I know it's the right thing to do, but I see it as something larger. I see it as a kind of like a social movement.
It is an awesome program because we get to work as a team, as parents and teachers.
The part that's really helped us is it kind of makes us feel like part of the family with the kid, and it makes them feel like part of the school with us. And so we, rather than having lines dividing us, we end up more one piece.
I mean, it does show caring. It shows that the teachers are willing to step out of their comfort zone.
We went to a family that had a high school student and a middle school student. So I went with Luis Morillo. He's our principal. He's 6'9". He's a big man, and obviously he is fantastic to this community because he speaks Spanish. So we walk in, and the mother had a baby in her hands, and you could tell that she was struggling. She needed to go get something. So Luis said in Spanish, "Can I hold her?" And she said yes. And Luis is not a parent, and so he's holding this baby, and I'm not lying, the head was bobbing around, and I was over there laughing. And I don't know if that loosened it up, but that's who we are.
We love their kids so much. We want to come, with our free time, sometimes on weekends, on Fridays, to come let them know how their kids are doing. So it's been really cool.
Now they see you more as I don't know how to say it, family. They can talk, they could come up to you and talk to you, and you can have a different type of conversation.
The majority of them, what they have to grow up with is just barely getting food on the table, and their parents are busting their tails, and they're working till 8 or 9 o'clock at night sorting potatoes in a cold warehouse. And so how do you not try to have compassion or empathy for that, where we're trying to help students in rural Colorado just try to be successful and live a better life.
All right, we were lucky to partner with the Nathan Yet Foundation to fund some of our work with home visits. I don't want to take credit for the home visits. I was just a part of it. Kevin Jones was really the visionary behind it. I have a baby now, so I'm a lot better at holding kids without having their head bobble. But anyway, just a quick story about my first year as principal. I mean, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I had many bad first interactions where I would have to make a call, and the first interaction I had with parents was, I'm suspending your kid, or hey, your kid did this and did that. So that created distrust, miscommunication, and I needed people to get to know me and my beliefs and my dreams for their kids, which were very similar. And I felt that I needed to get off my pedestal per se and go meet them at their homes or their place of work. We would go to the potato sellers during lunch and we would meet them for 10, 15 minutes. We would go after hours. We would go on Saturdays. And when we went, I didn't talk about academics. I talked about, hey, this is who I am. This is my vision for our school. This is my dream for your kid. We partner. And then I would, give them my contact info and so on. I mean, what this comes down to is love. You don't need to be, 6'9". You don't need to be bilingual. You don't need to have my background. You just have to, love kids and love education and love what you do. And I trust that everyone in this call is in education for the right reason. And this could happen in any community that is represented here today. Okay, we are running out of time. There is a person on the call. She doesn't know I did this, but her contact info will be in the next slide with mine, but she can tell you about all the steps. We did have a training with staff. We would make sure that they went 2 at a time. So we did have a protocol. We had a sheet that needed to be filled out, and then a parent liaison would make a phone call. And then we also did have, little gifts that were silly, but really meant a lot for the families. And I don't have the time to talk through all those steps, but once this is shared, I do recommend that you watch this. This is another video that we did, hearing from parents and some of our students about the shift. And it's interesting because this first mother said, when I first got the call that the principal wanted to come see me, I thought my kid was in trouble. And after our meeting, it was completely different. So I do recommend you take the 10 minutes to watch when we're done here. I'll go through these. Some of the outcomes. I mean, we wanted to have a better school, simply said. All right, that's my contact info. I'm right on 25 minutes. Also, the person that doesn't know, I believe she's here, is Dalia Molina. She still is working in the center. She is a phenomenal parent liaison. She made a lot of this work come to fruition. So if you have questions about how it works, I would suggest you contact her. And if there's anything I can help with, this is my contact information. I would love to connect with you all. Thank you.
Luis, thank you so much. I find myself wanting to stand up. Stand innovation. This was incredible. I'm not crying. You're crying. Thank you so much for sharing all of your expertise. Well, I don't want to waste any time. So if anybody has any questions, it's time for a large group discussion. So we have Luis right here. If you have any sort of comments or anything that's lingering in your mind, feel free to unmute yourself and put it in the chat. Please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kristen Inquist from Haskins Elementary in Center. I was wondering, Luis, was there any pushback from the teachers when you were having them go to these other houses as far as feeling safe or feeling, how did you incentivize them to go into the homes of the students?
Great question. It was never forced on teachers. until we shifted the parent-teacher conference. But in the beginning, I was doing home visits on my own for the first 2 years. And then the high school principal was doing it. So we were modeling, and then it just kind of became a thing and more people wanted to do it. We incentivized through the Nathan Gibb Foundation. Kevin Jones applied and received a grant. So in the beginning, I believe we would pay like $100 per home visit. And then the money started running out. So we went down to 50. But what we heard from teachers is it was nice to be recognized with a little bit of money. But they really started really liking the interactions. And again, as far as safety, I'm not going to lie, there were some homes where it was a little scary. I visited one of them, but I felt adamant that I needed to be there. And as real as it gets, I went with another large man. He was a former school counselor, and we had a plan that if things went south, we were going to get out of there, but we still went. And then for the rest of the staff, we really made sure that they were going in twos. We made sure that they had an interpreter, and we just made sure that things were going to be, safe. But I needed to start it myself.
How about others? Thank you, Kristen. That's a really good question. Any thoughts or questions? I mean, we've got the man right here.
So, Luis, this is Milka. What are you finding is sort of, are there ways in Alamosa that you're starting to build this? And are you seeing that you're having success with that implementation? Or are you finding that it's a different community and different needs? Or
yeah,
what's your assessment so far?
It's interesting that you bring that up. I don't know if I can't see all the little faces, but we're actually actively applying for a grant that would bring parent liaisons to each one of our schools to recreate some of this work. It is a larger community. It's a little different community. I am doing home visits, and we also have on my own. And then we've started a parent group. It's called PIC, the Parent Institute Committee, and it's met 3 different times. It's small. It only has 8 participants, but when we started PICS, it was small. And just last Thursday, I believe I joined one of their sessions via Zoom, and they had something like 58, 59 participants. So definitely hoping to bring this vision to Alamosa because we have the same needs. When we look at academic data, we know that there is a disparity between our kids of color and our white students. So we're just trying to do more things to reach out. And I think that now, post-pandemic, wherever we're at, we need to re-engage and reconnect with families. And these are 2 models that schools can take to do that.
Thank you for those questions. Anyone else? I have plenty of them, so I just don't want to take up the space.
I have one question. Luis, this is Teresa Ochoa from Trinidad. And now that is the pandemic, how do you think that we can engage parents? Because we have been seeing like going low a little bit. We are more isolated and we are trying to reach more. They don't answer. This is the only way that we have. Like a phone number, we call, we leave messages, we don't have answer. So then even like I have some Hispanic parents that they are responding so good, but then like in general, like how can we motivate them like to get engaged now that we are just pretty much online and we are trying not to visit or not to have like that one-on-one contact. So what could be a good idea to engage parents in this pandemic?
Well, one, Trinidad, I think you should get Alfredo to work with you, your Spanish teacher. And then I think that what matters to parents the most is when you're speaking their language and the topics of interest to them. The other day we're also doing some different work, and we had a session with parents. and they just wanted to be with each other. So I think that if we provide those spaces, parents will continue to show up. Now, how? That it's going to take knocking on doors. It's going to take Saturdays, Sundays. I went to a church and I was able to speak after the service, and then after. They need to see you. They need to get to know you as a person in order for them to trust you and want to hear you. I think you know what I'm talking about. It just takes a lot of that human work and a lot of that connection.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, I speak español también, so this is kind of nice to be an advantage. Thank you.
Dígale, Alfredo, que le ayude.
Yeah, trabajamos juntos. Sí, gracias.
Thank you so much. So I wish we could have more time to ask more questions and be able to just get more comments, but we will after our Zooms, our little breakout rooms. But okay, Luis, again, everybody, hand of applause. I know that we took just so much information out of this presentation, and now it's time for us to apply it. Welcome back. Hi, Jeannie. All right. Well, how was it? I see smiles, some nodding. That's wonderful. We have some time right now to kind of process what was going on. Luis is back. Luis is also here for us to kind of facilitate any thoughts that you may have or that came up in your groups. So I'm going to stop talking and open up the floor for any comments, thoughts, concerns that you may have.
So I have a question for Luis if he's available.
I'm here.
All right. So Luis, when you started those home visits, like how did you start the conversation with parents? I'm sure that you didn't just suddenly show up at their house. How did you reach out to them to say that you were going to show up?
Well, first, congrats on the nomination for the award you're receiving. I saw that on the paper.
Thank you.
It was with phone calls, and I would just say, hey, I'm Mr. Murillo. I'm the new principal here. I would love to meet with you. If you can come into my office, that would be wonderful. And if not, I can come to your house if that is okay. I would love to share. And then I would go on about what I wanted to share. And that was, my vision. I would like to learn more about your kid. So I really try to make it very non-threatening. So they would either get a call from me, or they would also get a call from the parent liaison, which really helped navigate some of that anxiety. But what I'm going to tell you is, regardless of whatever we tried in the beginning, it created anxiety for families. So it took us doing it for about a year, and the word to get around to say, oh, they just want to talk to you. They're not here to tell you, all the bad things about your kid or grades. They just want to talk to you.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Alfonso.
In our group, we were talking about those campus visits, and we really like that idea. We're down in the southeastern corner, and we have a couple of junior colleges. We're not far from Pueblo. We could get there do a day trip. How do you begin that process? What's the process for getting those campus visits together?
I began by writing an email because of the population of families that we serve in center. I would look for their Latino serving club, and I would start there. And I would say, hey, this is who I am. We have a club, blah, 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 blah. And I would write this long email. And they would write back. In fact, every single time they wrote back, and then I would get on the phone or a Zoom call with someone. I would tell them a story and what we wanted to do, and they would bend over backwards to accommodate. We got a lot of free meals. We would get to eat in the cafeteria for free. We would get. You saw some pictures of La Raza graduation at UNM. We got invited to attend that. So it just started that way. I didn't really go through admissions. They would connect me then with a person at admissions, but I would start with one of those clubs.
Jody, do you all have Gear Up out there also? Because Gear Up does a lot of stuff with our school, with the Otero school district as well, or Lahana, and it sends them out on college visits throughout the state of Colorado. So not sure if Gear Up is in your school or not.
It isn't. Lahana's got it, but we don't.
There's only 14 schools that have Gear Up, or 16 schools in the state that have Gear Up.
Do we know, is there, sorry, this is Lana in Los Angeles, is there open slots available for Gear Up, or how do we get connected with that?
If I may answer that, just because I used to work for Gear Up. So Gear Up mostly focuses on low income schools. You have to have low graduation rates, high free and reduced lunch, and Gear Up mostly reaches out to the schools that they see meet that criteria. Now you can contact the state office to see if you can get your school on the list. It runs off of a 7-year cycle, so I think they're in year 3 or 4 right now, so it's another 3 years before they start reaching out to schools again.
Question with that, I guess I wouldn't, because it takes 40 per grade per school. So we couldn't piggyback off another school system to participate like we do sports down here. We can send them to another district to play a sport we don't offer.
Thank you for all this information. And was that, I may have misunderstood. Was that referring to the upward bound that Anna's talking about? No? Okay. There is a question in the chat about what about upward bound for schools?
So Upward Bound would be available to any local college that hosts it. Now, Upward Bound and Gear Up are similar programs, but they're distinct from each other. But if you're in a school that offers Upward Bound, I would definitely try to encourage anyone to try to get their kids into it. The difference is Gear Up is located actually inside the school, whereas Upward Bound is located at the college.
I don't know if everyone can see that.
For Luis.
Go ahead,
Sorry.
go ahead. No, you're good.
So in San Luis, we have not only a high turnover rate, but we are very understaffed in general. My question is to how do we get staff involved in this? Because I don't see a problem getting students and families, but our biggest issue would be getting the staff, and I don't know if we would have the incentives to actually be able to pay them.
Yeah, doing anything new in the time of COVID would be hard. I mean, it's a challenge because we're all feeling pretty tired and burned out, stressed out. But what we did is once we started with parents, naturally they wanted to learn more about teachers and what happens in the classroom and the magic. So with time, our parent group actually hosted a parent or a teacher appreciation breakfast, which became a yearly day that teachers look forward to. So we would get there early and do a whole gamut of foods from pancakes to anything you can imagine, and they loved it. And the whole message there was, "Hey, we're behind you. We appreciate you." Another thing that happened is, and I laugh because parents would cook and they would expect teachers to join them for dinner, and they never turned them down. So I think that staff began to feel more appreciated and understood. And then what's funny is then they started fighting for, "Yeah, I want to go to that house." It's like, "No, the house has been visited like 10 times. You pick another house." So those were little things that we did. The other thing that we did is Pix created just a little gift basket for our new staff. I heard you talk about turnover. So when we had the initial new staff training, I would give them a chance to just say, hey, welcome to our community, not just our school community. This is who we are, and here it is. And it had sticker, a water bottle, but a lot of this stuff was also through fundraising. As we know, we have in agriculture, we have some folks that might need to donate some money. So we had our parents would go and ask, they would sell our vision and our mission, and we would get some paychecks. So we were able to use that money freely.
And then another side note is that I know in center that AmeriCorps was strong at one point. I don't know if they still do. That's actually where I have met you before. I used to work for AmeriCorps in center. How would you go about like involving AmeriCorps into a small community and possibly taking on roles like that?
That's a difficult question because we lost the partnership with AmeriCorps. So when we did this work, we did not have AmeriCorps. So I don't know that I can answer that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I wanted to just quickly plug on the topic of funds to be able to support this work. Every school district here has $4,900 in hand to support this work. So don't be thinking about money as I mean, I know big money can be a hurdle, but you can think about that as funds that you have available to get this stuff going. So be thinking about that as a resource you can draw on immediately. And if you have more questions about where those funds are, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and then we can. They're all with you.
Thank you, Ben. We have time for one last question/comment regarding our family school partnerships. Anyone want to give it a shot? Don't be shy.
I can go ahead and share out just something that I also put in the chat. We just passed the grant deadline, but every February becomes a new funding cycle for Caring for Colorado. If you have a moment to kind of look at the guiding principles and the focus areas for strong and resilient families, many of those can really connect the dots to family school partnership. And so it's something that here at Alamosa, we've kind of started to take a lot more focus to, branch out and expand some of the programs that we are offering and to get all these other, great things off the ground that Luis is bringing to the table. So I shared that in the comment, Caring for Colorado. They have a specific focus area of strong and resilient families, and that really seems to be a good one. So if it fits your district, it might be worth looking into.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I want to just thank everybody for your thoughts, your comments. It's really amazing to see how this community can come together and just support one another. It's very inspiring. Let's give Luis one last round of applause, our Zoom applause. This was enlightening, empowering, just so powerful. So thank you so much. And I am going to go ahead and share my screen. So when you see it, just give me a quick thumbs up.
For more information about Project ECHO and upcoming ECHOs with the University of Denver, please visit mortgage.du.edu/ECHO or follow us on Twitter at ECHO_DU_MCE. Thanks for watching.